When a new day begins, something powerful happens. The rising of the sun is not just a natural event, it is also a reminder that we have been given another chance to live, to grow, and to walk with purpose. Yet, how we choose to begin that day often determines its course. If we start our morning rushed, distracted, or overwhelmed, the rest of the day often follows the same pattern. But if we begin by seeking God's direction, we step into the hours ahead with peace, clarity, and strength. That first choice in the morning has the potential to shape everything that follows. It is in the earliest hours that the mind is most open. Before the busyness of life clutters our thoughts, before the endless notifications, deadlines, and conversations demand our attention, we have a sacred window of silence. In that silence, we can choose to acknowledge the one who holds the day in his hands. This is not about ritual or routine alone. It is about orientation. The way a compass sets direction for a traveler, seeking God in the morning sets direction for the soul. Without it, we may walk in circles, chasing tasks without purpose. With it, we move steadily toward meaning and fulfillment. The morning is also the time of greatest opportunity to invite peace into the heart. Many people wake up already carrying yesterday's worries. Anxiety about bills, relationships, work, or health can fill the mind before breakfast. If those thoughts are allowed to take control, the day begins under the weight of fear. But when we begin with prayer, reflection, or simply quiet time before God, those burdens are lifted. We are reminded that we are not alone in facing them. The day is no longer something to survive, but something to live through with trust. Another reason mornings are so significant is that they set the rhythm of discipline. What we do first becomes what we value most. If the first moments of our day are given to God, it signals to our hearts and minds that spiritual alignment is a priority, not an afterthought. This habit builds consistency, and consistency shapes character. Over time, beginning each day with divine direction molds us into people of patience, wisdom, and resilience. Even when storms come, those whose mornings are anchored in faith do not lose their balance. Seeking God's guidance in the morning also provides perspective. Life often confronts us with choices, some small and some life-changing. Without direction, we rely only on human wisdom, which can be short-sighted. But when we ask for God's leading at the start of the day, we invite eternal perspective into temporary decisions. Whether it is how we speak to someone, how we respond to challenges, or how we use our time, divine wisdom transforms the ordinary into opportunities for growth. What might seem like a routine conversation can become a chance to encourage. What might appear to be a problem can become a lesson in trust. It is important to understand that this practice is not about perfection. There will be days when we wake up late, days when distractions seem unavoidable, and days when we feel distant from God. But what matters most is not flawless performance, it is intention. Even a few sincere moments of seeking guidance at the beginning of the day can reorient the heart. Over time, those moments multiply, and they create a foundation that sustains us when we face seasons of difficulty. History and experience both confirm this truth. Those who have walked closely with God, whether in times of peace or in times of trial, often began their days with devotion. It was not because they had easier lives, but because they knew that strength does not come from within alone. It comes from above. Their mornings were not empty rituals, but sacred exchanges where weakness was traded for strength, confusion for clarity, and fear for peace. This same opportunity is available to us each day if we are willing to pause and seek. Ultimately, beginning each morning with God's direction is about surrender. It is the humble acknowledgement that we do not hold the day in our hands, but He does. It is about saying, "Guide me, protect me, and give me wisdom as I walk through what lies ahead." That act of surrender is not weakness. It is strength because it aligns us with the One who knows the end from the beginning. With that alignment, even the most ordinary day can become extraordinary, filled with moments of purpose and divine guidance. So as the sun rises, the question we must ask ourselves is simple. Will we walk into the day guided by our own limited perspective, or will we seek direction from the One who sees all? The difference between those two choices is the difference between stumbling aimlessly and walking with confidence. To seek God in the morning is to step into the day not as a wanderer, but as someone led, protected, and equipped for every challenge ahead. If beginning the day with God is essential, the next question becomes practical. How do we actually seek His direction each morning? Many people agree with the idea in theory, but struggle to live it in practice. Life is busy, mornings are rushed, and responsibilities press in quickly. But seeking God's guidance does not require hours of ritual. It requires intention, consistency, and sincerity. The ways to do this are simple, yet their effect on the heart and mind is profound. One of the most powerful ways to seek God's guidance is through prayer. Prayer does not have to be complicated or filled with perfect words. It can be as simple as sitting quietly, speaking honestly, and inviting God to lead the day. Some mornings, prayer may be long and deep. Other mornings, it may be brief but sincere. What matters is not the length, but the posture of the heart. Prayer is a daily conversation, a way of saying, "I am here and I need you." By starting with prayer, we open a channel for wisdom, strength, and peace to flow into our lives before the world has a chance to overwhelm us. Equally important is the practice of reflection. Before the noise of the world invades, taking even a few minutes to sit in silence, to breathe deeply, and to reflect on the day ahead can center the soul. In those quiet moments, we can bring to mind the decisions we will face, the challenges we anticipate, and the people we may encounter. Asking God for guidance in those specific situations makes the day less reactive and more intentional. It transforms ordinary tasks into opportunities for purpose. Reflection helps us pause long enough to remember that we are not walking into the day alone. Another practical way to seek God's direction is by reading scripture or inspirational words that point us toward truth. Just as food nourishes the body, scripture nourishes the soul. A single verse read with attention in the morning can echo in the heart throughout the day, reminding us of strength when we feel weak or of peace when anxiety rises. This does not mean we must read chapters upon chapters every morning. Sometimes a short passage, meditated upon deeply, provides more wisdom than pages skimmed quickly. The goal is not volume but connection, allowing words of truth to guide thoughts, attitudes, and actions. Journaling can also play an important role. Writing down prayers, reflections, or insights from Scripture helps to focus the mind and capture what the heart is learning. Many times, the act of writing brings clarity. By putting thoughts on paper, we see patterns, struggles, and victories that may otherwise go unnoticed. Journaling in the morning can become a record of God's guidance over time, a testimony that strengthens faith when challenges arise. Looking back, we realize how prayers were answered and how guidance was provided in ways we did not expect. Beyond personal practices, music and worship can set the tone for the day. A simple song of praise, whether sung aloud or played softly in the background, lifts the spirit. Music has the power to shift emotions, and when it is directed toward God, it reorients the heart toward gratitude and trust. Many find that beginning the day with a song of worship transforms not only their attitude, but also how they treat others. A heart filled with gratitude at sunrise often overflows with kindness throughout the day. Discipline also plays a role. Seeking God's direction is not always about emotion or inspiration. Often, it is about choosing to be consistent even when we don't feel like it. There will be mornings when fatigue tempts us to skip prayer, when distractions seem louder than silence, or when doubt creeps in. In those moments, discipline carries us forward. Like training for physical strength, spiritual discipline builds resilience. Over time, the practice of seeking God each morning becomes a habit so natural that life feels incomplete without it. Seeking guidance daily also requires openness. Too often, people pray for direction but only listen for answers they already want. True guidance comes when we are willing to set aside our own agendas and accept that God may lead us in a different way. Sometimes the answer is patience when we want speed, or forgiveness when we want revenge, or courage when we feel fear. Openness allows us to receive guidance not as we demand it, but as it is best given. Finally, seeking God's direction in the morning means carrying that connection into the rest of the day. Morning devotion is not an isolated moment. It is the starting point. As we walk through the hours ahead, we can whisper short prayers, recall scripture, or pause for reflection in difficult moments. The morning sets the foundation, but throughout the day, we continue to build on it. By evening, we can look back with gratitude, knowing that the guidance sought in the morning has shaped the choices, conversations, and attitudes we carried. So, while life may be busy and mornings may feel rushed, seeking God's direction is not beyond reach. It can be found in a few quiet words of prayer, in reading even one line of truth, in writing a short reflection, in listening to a song that lifts the heart. These practices, though simple, are powerful. They remind us daily that we are guided not by chance, but by divine wisdom. When practiced consistently, they transform mornings into sacred beginnings and days into journeys walked with purpose, God's direction. It is important to understand that the impact of this practice is not limited to the morning hours. It carries forward into every decision, every conversation, and every challenge we face throughout the day and beyond. The alignment that begins in the quiet of dawn has a ripple effect that shapes character, strengthens resilience, and deepens faith. The true fruit of this practice is not only in the calm it brings during those first moments, but also in the transformation it produces in the long term. A person who begins each day rooted in divine guidance develops an inner stability that the world cannot easily shake. Life is unpredictable. Plans shift, crises appear, people disappoint us, and obstacles arise without warning. Yet someone who has sought God's direction beforehand does not collapse when the storm comes. Instead, they carry a peace that does not depend on circumstances. This peace does not mean the absence of struggle. It means the presence of strength within the struggle. Such stability becomes a testimony to others, inspiring those around them to wonder about the source of such calm. Another lasting impact of daily spiritual alignment is clarity of purpose. Many people drift through life without a clear sense of why they are here or what they are meant to do. They chase goals, wealth, or recognition, yet often remain unsatisfied. But when someone begins each morning by asking for guidance, their perspective shifts. Life becomes less about self-driven ambition and more about fulfilling a higher calling. Even the smallest tasks, working diligently, serving others, showing kindness, gain significance because they are seen as part of a bigger picture. This clarity allows a person to make decisions with greater confidence, knowing that their steps are directed by wisdom higher than their own. Over time, this practice also reshapes character. Morning alignment with God's guidance does not only influence actions, it transforms the heart. It molds patience in the midst of frustration, cultivates humility when pride tempts, and stirs compassion when indifference threatens. Just as water gradually shapes the rock it flows over, daily connection with God gently yet powerfully shapes the soul. A person who commits to this rhythm finds that they are not the same after months or years of consistent practice. Their reactions, values, and priorities begin to reflect the presence of the one they seek each morning. Daily spiritual alignment also strengthens relationships. When we start the day with a heart attuned to God's direction, we approach others differently. Conflicts may not disappear, but we are more likely to respond with patience rather than anger, with forgiveness rather than bitterness, with understanding rather than judgment. In families, this creates harmony. In workplaces, it fosters respect. In communities, it builds bridges. The impact spreads outward, influencing not just one life, but many. People around us may not know the secret discipline of our mornings, but they will feel the effect of it in how we speak and act. Moreover, this practice builds resilience in seasons of difficulty. There will be times when life feels heavy, when prayers seem unanswered, when challenges appear insurmountable. In those moments, a habit of daily alignment becomes an anchor. The person who has learned to lean on God every morning does not suddenly lose hope when darkness comes. Instead, they have a well of strength to draw from. The practice of seeking direction each day prepares the soul to endure hardship with faith rather than despair. What looks like a small daily act turns out to be preparation for life's greatest tests. Another lasting impact is joy. True joy is different from fleeting happiness. Happiness often depends on circumstances, on good news, on success, on comfort. Joy, however, is deeper. It persists even in hardship. Those who align themselves daily with God's guidance often discover that their days are marked by gratitude. Even when nothing seems perfect, they learn to see blessings in small things, to find hope in challenges, and to trust that every moment has meaning. This joy is not loud or superficial. It is quiet, steady, and contagious. Others sense it, and it becomes a light that draws people closer, not to the individual, but to the source of that joy. Finally, the greatest lasting impact of seeking God's direction every morning is transformation that endures into eternity. While the benefits of peace, clarity, resilience, and joy are felt here and now, the ultimate fruit is that such a life is lived in alignment with God's eternal purposes. Days lived in this rhythm accumulate into a life well lived, a legacy of faith, and a journey that prepares us for what lies beyond time itself. Each morning becomes not just preparation for another day, but preparation for eternity. So, the practice of seeking God's direction in the morning is far more than a routine. It is a discipline that shapes who we become. It influences how we think, how we feel, how we treat others, and how we face life's challenges. It is a foundation that carries us not only through the day, but through the seasons of life. Its impact does not fade with the setting sun. It endures, transforms, and multiplies. And in the end, it leaves behind a testimony that others can follow, a light that continues to shine, and a life aligned with a purpose far greater than our own, ladies and gentlemen. As we have reflected together, one truth stands clear every morning is not just another beginning. It is a divine invitation, an invitation to pause before the noise of the world takes over, to seek wisdom greater than our own, and to align our steps with the one who knows the path ahead. Each sunrise brings with it an opportunity not only to reset our schedules, but to reset our hearts, to tune our lives to a higher frequency of peace, purpose, and direction. The choice rests with us. We can rush into the day relying solely on our limited strength, or we can begin with a quiet surrender, asking for guidance, clarity, and strength that does not run dry. One path often leads to exhaustion and confusion. The other leads to stability, resilience, and joy. And though the world around us may change with uncertainty, the anchor we establish in those first sacred moments of the day will remain unshakable. So, I urge you, do not let another morning pass as though it were ordinary. See it for what it truly is, a gift, a chance to connect, a moment to seek direction. Start tomorrow differently. Begin with prayer, with reflection, with openness to divine guidance. And as you carry that alignment into your work, your family, your decisions, and your challenges, you will discover that your days are no longer scattered, but ordered, no longer empty, but full, no longer restless, but at peace. Ladies and gentlemen, let us rise each day not merely to live, but to live with purpose, clarity, and faith. For in seeking God's direction every morning, we not only transform our day, we transform our life. Thank you.